Joining us now is OjyOkpe, with stories trending around the world. Hello, Jinx.
Today was a special one. How are you this morning, Dr. Abati? Good morning, Ayo. Wow. Take a deep breath. Good morning, Rufi on fire.
Good morning, OG.
What's the accent about?
Morning.
All right, perfect. Well, all right. I wish, today was, I was going to start up on a great note, but unfortunately I am not. Well, let's begin what's trending by sending our condolences to the families of those who lost their lives in Jigawa State, where at least 140 people have reportedly lost their lives following a fuel tanker explosion in Majiya in Taura Local Council. The incident occurred while locals were scooping petrol from the fallen tanker. Over 55 others are critically injured and receiving treatment. Again, my heart goes out to the family members of those who have lost their lives. This is a tragic, tragic incident. I mean, it's a recurring decimal in Nigeria. Dr. Abati, I heard you earlier even talk about the incident that happened. What year was that?
1998.
1998.
October 17.
The same month and that year. But, a lot of people have reacted. I'll take Atiku Abubakar's tweet. I'll read it in part. He wrote, "It's about time we explored other means like rail for transporting petroleum products around the country. It is also pertinent to train drivers involved in the transportation of flammable products and review the protocol for the transportation of petroleum products and other inflammable products. I wish to share my grief with all the people and government of Jigawa State and ask for an expeditious rescue and control operation. No resource should be spared in treating the injured." I would take a cue from that. No resource should be spared. I mean, this is the failure of the state. Again, I would reiterate that. I mean, we were hearing from, Arise actually interviewed people around Jigawa, and most of them were talking about the fact that they are all victims of circumstance. Petrol right now is liquid gold, basically. So obviously they were all out there trying to fend for themselves, despite the sensitization that we, journalists, and the federal government of Nigeria have put out there. It's unfortunate, really unfortunate incident. May their souls rest in peace. Ayo, I know that you all have discussed this, so just a quick word.
Very quickly, it's very sad. This is a picture of the desperation of people, despite the risks involved in going to scoop petrol from a tanker that's an accidental tanker, that they will be willing to take that risk just for the opportunity to make some money. You can describe it in many ways, but it's very sad. And this is another further call to please encourage people. No amount of risk is worth, or money is worth your life. If you see a petrol tanker especially, it's flammable, it's highly dangerous. Look at, they were trying to hurry because they also knew the dangers involved, but they weren't fast enough, and 140 people dead. But in addition to that, beyond, when you talk about the failure of state, we look at the state of the truck. I don't know what the state was. We've talked about whether or not these trucks would pass roadworthiness. We've seen a lot of these trucks on the road that topple over. Their drivers are also very careless in driving. The roads are also bad. So a number of things. I'm hoping that this investigation the presidency has instituted through the NMDPRA would include all these things. And let's see a reduction in this incident. It's very sad. Our condolences to the governor of Jigawa State.
Absolutely, Rufai.
Okay, so for me, I'm talking about the solutions now. I don't know what happened to Nigeria, but at some point in this country, we used to have rail lines close to depots, NMPC depot. In fact, the one in Akbata in Ibadan, the locals call it Ojuere. There's a rail that goes just in front of that depot there, and which they use for evacuation. What happened to systems like that?
Those are the questions.
What happened?
Those are the questions. Again, may their souls rest in perfect peace. Meanwhile, the presidency has reacted to concerns raised by Nigerians over the absence of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and Vice President Kashim Shettima. The president is currently on a 2-week vacation in the United Kingdom and has recently visited France, while Shettima is in Sweden for a 2-day official visit, raising concerns over a leadership vacuum in the country. The special advisor to the president on information and strategy, Bayo Onanuga, however, in a post on X, said Tinubu and Shettima are fully engaged with the nation's affairs even while they are away. His tweet reads in part, 1. It is important to note that the president and vice president are fully engaged with the nation's affairs even while they are away. There is no leadership vacuum in the country. We had a similar situation in 2022 when former President Buhari and former Vice President Osinbajo were found to be simultaneously out of the country. President Buhari attended Onga 77, while Osinbajo participated in the burial of Queen Elizabeth II. We have also experienced it during this administration between late April and early May this year, while President Tinubu was in London after visiting the Netherlands and Saudi Arabia, where he attended the World Economic Forum. Vice President Kashim Shettima left Nigeria, first of all to Nairobi, to attend the International Development Association Heads of State Summit. After returning, he left for Dallas, Texas, to attend the U.S.-Africa Business Summit organized by the Corporate Council on Africa. President Tinubu returned home on 8 May. During this time, the government's machinery did not halt. Finally, the Constitution, a testament to our adaptability in the virtual age, does not explicitly require the physical presence of either the president or the vice president in the country at all times to fulfill his duties. Obviously, the outrage in Nigeria is because of what we are experiencing at the very moment, and both our leaders are out of the country, despite what the Constitution says. Dr. Abati.
Okay, let's just take the issues. I think they are fairly straightforward. Number one, Nigerians have the right to ask for their president. I've cited an American president before on this program in a book titled The President is Missing, when the president disappeared just for 3 days to go and have a dental surgery. And there was outrage. And the book, talks about how that matter was resolved, and the journalist who raised the alarm was right. Number two is that Nigerians are now saying, where is our president? This is a question they ask all the time. But the substantive issue that is before us now is that the president is away on a working vacation, which I say is an oxymoron. The vice president is off to Sweden, where, we're told he's going to have an official visit government officials, have bilateral engagements. So both of them, they have left the country. So you remember that apocryphal story about Nnamdi, whose father on a sick bed asked the question, Nnamdi, all of Nade here, who they shop? So I think we should ask them in Aso Villa that who they shop. Mr. Onanuga says there is no vacuum. However, Section 5 of the 1999 Constitution gives the president powers to delegate authority to either the vice president or any of the ministers that he may so choose. But further in that Constitution, Section 145, Section 146 says if the president is going to be away for any reason, for a certain period of time, either due to incapacitation or private reasons or whatever, he must hand over to the vice president and transmit a letter to the National Assembly. No letter was transmitted to the National Assembly. The vice president has just been there, functioning. Now the vice president himself, they say on the authority of President Tinubu, has gone abroad. So that's why I say, who they shop? Because there are certain powers under that same Section 5 that cannot be delegated by the president. It has to be either by the president or the man who was elected on the same joint ticket with him. This is one of the reasons why they also say, for security reasons, that the president and the vice president cannot travel in the same aircraft. Now, Mr. Onanuga says we are in a virtual age, a digital age, where the president and the vice president can perform functions from anywhere in the world. I hope one of these days they will not say the president is in Australia and is running Nigeria from Australia. If the issue is about digital approach to leadership, you can use digital technology in Nigeria too. So my caution should be citing precedents, saying Buhari did it. We also did it in April. No, you can't be citing something because it's a president. What if that president is wrong?
Exactly.
So who is saying that president for president and VP to disappear at the same time is the right thing? Finally, they should not turn Nigeria into Cameroon. Because the people of Cameroon, the last time they cited their president was 1 month ago. They are still looking for him. I don't want Nigeria to get to a situation whereby, Nigerians will be saying, where is our president? Where is our vice president? I think somebody was talking about common sense. This is the common sense threshold of this subject.
Fantastic. We'll take another story. Well, the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Wike, has backed the move by the federal government to impose a 25% effective tax rate on Nigerians earning 1.5 million naira and above monthly in the country. Wike, while speaking at the Abuja Business and Investment Summit organized by the Abuja Investment Company Limited on Wednesday, advised Nigerians to pay their taxes to boost infrastructure development in the country, adding that there is a need for collaborative efforts between the government and investors in the country. Let's take a listen.
When people say government is not to make money, who told you that? If government is not to make money, how do we have money to provide services? Government needs money. That's why government said pay a tax. It's very, very important. And so, while we provide an enabling environment, we also believe that we have to encourage you to make sure that you get what you're supposed to get and let government get what they're supposed to get. In that way, everybody will go home smiling.
Well, all right. Okay. I mean, while I agree that taxes are supposed to be paid to help an economy, a lot of people are saying at this very moment, Nigerians are, stretched out. But I'd like to take this Margaret Thatcher's tweet, which began trending. And she wrote, prosperity. Yeah. Yes, absolutely. She wrote, prosperity will not come by inventing more and more lavish public expenditure programs. You do not grow richer by ordering another checkbook from the bank. No nation ever grew more prosperous by taxing its citizens beyond their capacity to pay. I don't know why you got surprised about Margaret Thatcher.
Margaret Thatcher of the poor tax free that ended her premiership.
Exactly, but that's actually the rhetoric.
Yes. I can't remember who it was who recently said you can't tax your way out of an economic recession or out of economic challenges. And this is the story of Nigeria. There's such a thing as a social contract where the people do their own part in nation building and economy, and the government has a responsibility to the people. It's not by tax. Nigerians have been overtaxed, let me just put it that way, in the last few months, in the last few years, and there's not a lot to show for it. Can you show us the infrastructure? Usually it is a chicken and egg situation whereby it's like, okay, what comes first? We need more revenue to do more projects that would benefit the people to build infrastructure, but we also need infrastructure to enable people be able to have jobs to be able to pay these taxes. So if you're going to tax the people, create an enabling environment for people to thrive. What other governments do is that you stimulate the economy so that people are able to make money and then can pay their taxes. In fact, it's the poorest of the poor who pay most taxes. Right. A recent report in Guardian says that only 1% of the super rich in Nigeria pay their taxes because most of them evade taxes. It's only people like you and me and here that they force we pay all the taxes in the country and are funding a few in terms of the elite. Right. You cannot tax the people to the death. If not, there'll be nothing else remaining and the people will further impoverish.
Well, there's so much austerity in the town. Dr. Bati, I know you want to make a comment, but I want to take this comment from Osita Chidoka. And, I thought this would resonate among a lot of Nigerians. He wrote yesterday, I spent 100,000 naira on fuel, nearly filling the tank of a Lexus 460 Jeep. at 1,140 naira per litre. I realized that this amount is 30,000 naira higher than Nigeria's 70,000 naira minimum wage. A minimum wage earner in Nigeria working 8 hours a day for 20 days a month earns approximately 437.5 naira per hour. It takes 2.6 hours of work to afford a litre of petrol. A young graduate earning 150,000 naira monthly requires 1.2 hours of work to purchase a litre. In comparison, Egypt, fuel costs 443 naira per litre, and the monthly minimum wage is 202,400 naira. That is 1,265 naira per hour. It takes 21 minutes of work to buy a litre. While in South Africa, fuel is 2,480 naira per litre, and the minimum wage is 395,824 naira per litre, and that is 2,320 naira per hour. So it takes 1 hour and 4 minutes to buy a litre. In Nigeria, a minimum wage earner needs 2.6 hours to buy a litre of fuel, compared to 21 minutes in Egypt and 1 hour and 4 minutes in South Africa. My take: fuel prices in Nigeria may not be high by global standards, but it appears incomes are too low to sustain meaningful consumption. It's time to rethink our economic growth and production strategies. Used 1,600 naira as exchange rates. That's how he got those calculations. But I think that he's spot on, Dr. Abati. Rufai is staging a protest. He doesn't want to comment on what's trending because he believes that we're not giving him enough time. So, Dr. Abati, go ahead.
Okay, very quickly, I'll just talk about taxation. Nobody likes the taxman anywhere in the world. So, when I think it's Minister Wike saying people should pay tax. The big challenge in Nigeria is not about the taxation. It's about tax administration.
Right.
The Nigerian people are saying, even if we pay this tax, what do they do with it? I saw a comment, somebody should say, well, you are saying we Nigerians must pay tax, businesses must pay tax. Then government people too must stop looting. That's the other side of it. So well, the challenge is about tax administration. As we speak, ahead of the October 30 budget in the United Kingdom, Rachel Reeves, the Chancellor, is saying she needs to plug a black hole of 40 billion pounds. And she wants to raise capital gains tax, reduce public spending, raise national insurance. Okay, everybody is saying, no. This will be additional hardship for the people. So even in England, they don't want to pay tax. But at least in that country, the people can still see what they do with the taxation. The problem here in Nigeria is, what do they do with the money? We will pay the money, you will not see results.
Right.
You will only see people, riding yachts, living in mansions, riding SUVs. Why the people of Nigeria are suffering? The suffering that has also been perfectly described by Osita Chiloka in that quote from him, which has to do with the cost of living crisis
that's what
that
it is.
Nigerians face.
And what I took away was the fact that he said that our income is too low. We cannot sustain this at this point. So, but the good thing is that, some state governors have started implementing that 70,000 naira minimum wage. Finally, I believe Delta State implemented. I think also, what other state increased them? It was 77,000. That was your state. Is it Ogun State?
That's Ondo State.
Ondo State,
Ondo
okay.
State,
But now,
77. 70.
Edo 70. But now the Lagos State Governor, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, yesterday announced that his administration will implement a new minimum wage of 85,000 naira for workers in the state. Well, Sanwo-Olu made the announcement during a live television interview yesterday. I mean, this is amazing for Lagosians. I mean, I believe that you guys, Lagos girl,
Center of excellence.
Center of excellence. You guys make you guys have the highest IGR about, right?
Yes,
so I think that it's good.
And
but
by far,
the
second, but let me just put it on record.
Right.
By a significant margin.
Right.
The second, which is River State.
Fantastic. Fantastic. As always. Don't disgrace us here.
No, Governor Sanwo-Olu said this is not about competition.
Oh, really?
No, he made that point, that this is not about competition.
Right.
But he thinks that, you know, the Lagos State government and every government has a duty to address the welfare of the people. So don't compete. Don't compete.
We made Rufai chuckle just now. Rufai, what is your IGR? Are you going to speak or not?
No, I'm going to speak, but we have to be very careful in most of our analysis. And as regards the state thing, Lagos definitely will have a higher IGR. Because, number one, you have large water body. Two, historical differences. This was the hub of Nigeria. All the colonial masters came in through this place. You can also make the case for Calabar and everything. I was going to say the other states. But no, hang on a minute. You can also make the case for Calabar, but this was the heart. This was the only crown colony. Calabar was not a crown colony. It was Lagos colony and all that.
Calabar has seaports.
But this was the only crown. Potential for more. This was the only crown colony. If you know the meaning of what it means to be the only crown colony, then you know there was massive investment.
It was Northern and Southern Protectorate
and the Lagos colony. Well, let's not remove that. But most importantly, it is not to now mitigate what Governor Sanwo-Olu has done. Kudos to him on what he has done. But like you also made the point rightly, 85,000 in Lagos is 70,000 somewhere else. Because of the cost of living.
Everywhere.
And it's just like the point Ochidoka was making, Oji, as regards this. The problem Ochidoka has not pointed his house on is the deregulation. I mean, not even the deregulation, it's the devaluation of the currency. That's why it doesn't make sense again.
All of it. It don't make sense. Well, we'll take another story now. Billionaire businessman Adedeji Adeleke, father of award-winning musician Davido, during a recent church sermon, revealed how a government official tried to frustrate his $2 billion power plant project, which he said will be the biggest in Nigeria when it starts operation in January 2025. Adeleke spoke at the Seventh-day Adventist General Conference Annual Council on Tuesday, where he highlighted his investment in the nation's power sector, saying that his company, Pacific Energy, generates about 15% of Nigeria's electricity. Adeleke said he was denied approval for his $2 billion power plant project, but miraculously got an approval after he tabled the matter to God. Let's take a listen.
But during the course of the design and getting all the permits, we ran into difficult government officials. For environmental reasons, our permit was denied. The particular government official that I held a meeting with told me to my face that your project will never see the light of day. So I left, disappointed of course, and I told my Chinese friend that, look, unfortunately, we have these difficulties. So my Chinese friend said, what are we going to do now? This is very serious. So what is the solution about this? It seems you are not worried. I said, I'm not worried because I've prayed about it. And God is going to make it right. My friend became very upset with me. He said, God cannot do this. This is not about God now. This is not about your church. Please, Mr. Chairman, put this aside. We are talking serious issues now. I continue to pray about it. The following week, on a Wednesday, I got a call from the Ministry of Power that I should come to the minister's office. So I went. And I was handed over my permit. So I asked one of the officials, what exactly happened? Why am I collecting this from this office and not the other office? And the person told me that the particular government official that wanted to block us took ill, and that he was flown to Germany for treatment. So when I saw my Chinese friend and I told him that we have the permit already, he said, what did you do? I said, I prayed. And he said, did you ask your God to make him sick? I said, no, I did not.
All right. Ayo, quickly, a comment. I mean, this is your story because you are a pastor, but it's such a great thing.
It was a very it's a heartwarming story.
Yes, really
he was talking about the challenges,
yes.
a lot of things, the challenges of doing business in Nigeria,
Absolutely.
how you need God, the intervention of God in some instances
as always.
to be able to get that permit. But it was good to see also the values he's had from a young age, and his brother, the governor of Osun State, also spoke about how, that is the reason why he loves dancing. Don't take him away from church, because there are some battles in Nigeria that only God can do.
Well, all right. Congratulations to the Adelekes. Dr.
As a footnote, that I would like to refer the congregation to Mark 2, verse 27,
right.
In the book of wisdom, the Holy Bible, which says that the Sabbath, is holy. Is made for man. It's a day of blessings, and that's a testament of faith from Mr. Adeleke saying that he prayed on Sabbath day, and it turned out to be a day of blessing for him. For those who have not forgotten their Bible.
All right.
Day of Sabbath.
All right. We don't have time for a good news story because I'd love for us to have enough time to discuss these amazing things that these young people are doing. So we'll just take this final story here. Lawyers of the Falanas have accused popular cross-dresser Bob Risky of making false and defamatory statements against the senior advocate and his son, musician Fowles. Well, in a viral recording, Bob Risky was alleged to have said that Fowles and his father tried to get him a presidential pardon in exchange for 10 million naira. Although Bob Risky has since denied the recording and threatened to sue Very Dark Man for defamation. The Falanas, in a letter dated October 14th, described Bob Risky's alleged defamatory statements as recklessly aimed at damaging the Falanas' reputation locally and internationally. They also demanded Bob Risky issue the immediate retraction within 12 hours or face legal actions. Falana's lawyers also claim to have confirmed that Bob Risky took advantage of his recent imprisonment to extort money from a group of artists and other members of the public. Rufai, over to you.
And Oji, this is a great point.
Yes.
I mean, the truth is, I've always asked,
why are the Falanas not going after Bob Risky in all of this? That has constantly been a question, because see, I'm not a lawyer, but in all of this that you were saying they were defaming somebody, it was Bob Risky that was speaking here. Bob Risky now tactically released a statement yesterday saying, no, I don't have a hand in it too, and he apologized. So it is Bob Risky they should go after. So what Bob Risky was saying was obviously not true. I think I yield the floor because of time.
Yes.
Yeah.
But
so why are they not going after Bob Risky all this while?
But the thing is that he did say in that retraction or whatever it is that he is not responsible for that voice recording. So the Falanas, I don't know how this will work.
But the Falanas admitted to it. They admitted that the
but they will have to prove that voice recording was actually.
But he still apologized.
He's not his voice, but all right, we'll continue to follow up on this story. I always wish you have enough time. But I'd love to thank you all for your great analysis, as always, on What's Trending. Well, that's all I have for you guys on What's Trending today. I'll see you all tomorrow.